So if you're here, I am sure you have already seen the video clips of Yolanda Hadid's questionable parenting practices surrounding food and her children whilst filming The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in the 2010s, with many claiming her actions are neglectful, toxic, or even narcissistic. But before we jump in, let's take a moment today to unpack what narcissistic mothering actually looks like. So narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD as we call it, is classified in the DSM-5 as compromising a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behaviour, a constant need for affirmation, and a lack of empathy. In my own practice, patients and clients who've experienced narcissistic parenting have in turn experienced emotional neglect, as appropriate focus and nurture is not extended to them as vulnerable children and teenagers when the parent has such an extreme focus on themselves. Traits I see specifically in narcissistic mothers are controlling behaviours, emotionally minimising and manipulative behaviours, often practising conditional love, and having an overwhelming focus on appearances, emotional volatility, and unpredictability. But how is this linked to eating disorders? When we experience a childhood of emotional abuse or neglect at the hands of a narcissistic mother, not only can we understandably develop very negative core beliefs about ourselves, but we also need to find a way of emotionally dealing with the abuse or neglect that we're experiencing. And often that's where an eating disorder can step in. Eating disorders are quite literally just coping modes. They are well-meaning but very unhelpful superheroes who attempt to swoop in and save the day, but who always end up problematic and harmful. Some eating disorders try to help us find a pseudo sense of control in chaotic situations, like anorexia and orthorexia. In contrast, others push us to completely detach from our traumas and our reality, like bulimia and binge eating disorder. But for me, here's where things become a little interesting. Because I often see narcissistic mothers actively contributing to their children's eating disorders, all for the sake of appearances. Now, for legal reasons, obviously, I'm not claiming that Yolanda Hadid has abused her children or to be a narcissist, but let's consider how her parenting could have impacted Gigi and Bella. In many of the Real Housewife clips, we see Yolanda encouraging incredibly restrictive eating habits with Gigi, as well as body shaming her on a number of occasions. What does this tell a child or teenager? It says that your worth is based on your weight and your beauty and nothing else. Similarly, we see Bella being shunned for Gigi, often looking like the black sheep of the family. This type of behaviour will express to the child, you're not as beautiful or successful or slim as your sibling, so you're less worthy of love and attention. This dynamic reminds me of the kind of golden child and black sheep split dynamic I often see narcissistic parents play out in their family units time and time again. Because it's important to remember that a narcissist will see their children purely as a tool for their own success or affirmation. And if one child's supplies is more than the other, the parent can cause unhealthy sibling conflict and comparison, and not to mention significant fractures in the family unit. So yes, whilst having a narcissistic parent can often involve abuse and neglect that can lead to children and teenagers developing eating disorders as a means of coping, there's certainly something to be said about narcissistic mothers who promote eating disorders in their children if the final outcome actually benefits them.